Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Spurs Up Show, the best Gamecocks podcast on the internet. Today is Tuesday, January the 21st, 2020. On today's show, I break down South Carolina's 81-67 win over the Texas A&M Aggies. I'll give my thoughts, my takeaways, and just what it means for South Carolina as they get back-to-back SEC wins for the first time this season. Also, we continue the position unit previews talking about the Gamecocks' first baseman heading into the 2020 season. I'll talk about the key losses, who's back, who has the most to prove, the best overall, give my overall grade of the unit, and much, much more. Also, tons of news and notes to get into, including women's basketball getting a big win over Mississippi State last night, Jermaine Kuznar picking up some weekly honors, South Carolina football picking up a commitment for the 2020 class, much more there as well. Also, your listener questions and a fantastic interview with former Gamecocks outfielder Carlos Cortes that I know that you are sure to enjoy. Before we get into everything, this is a podcast sent to you by our friends over at Ag South Farm Credit. Guys, most lenders don't understand land financing. Ag South Farm Credit specializes in land financing and has been doing it for over 100 years. They make loans for small and large acreage, hunting property, timberland, farm and pasture land, even home mortgages and construction. They have a ton of great benefits, including long-term fixed-rate financing for up to 20 years, down payments as low as 15%. They have competitive rates, and they pay an average of 25% of the interest back every year as what they call patronage. They're cooperative, so they share in their profits with their member borrowers. So, guys, for example, on a $300,000 loan at 6.5% for 20 years, you would get back $2,770 each year. They have an experienced lending staff that knows land and knows how to finance it. Guys, in 2020, a lot of us are going to be making a lot of big-time life decisions. A lot of us are getting to that age. We're thinking about it. Either we're getting married, we're buying our first house, or buying our dream house, or buying a plot of land to build a house on. Whatever it may be, whatever you need to make a big-time life decision like that. It's always full of stress, full of strain. You know, you're always thinking to yourself, what am I going to do? How am I going to do this? You want to make sure you have the right support system, the right people in your corner. Ag South Farm Credit, they are that lender. Like I said, no matter what it is that you're doing, buying your first house, your dream house, you're building a home, whatever it is, they are going to be that lender, those people that are in your corner. They're going to make the process super simple and super easy for you. One of the questions they get asked most often, the name has farm credit in it. Are they just for farmers? So the answer is not at all. Their mission is actually to support rural America, and that can include just about anything that involves the purchase of land. So a lot of their customers are those that just want a piece of property outside of the town they can live on. So you absolutely do not have to be a farmer. Anyone wanting to live in rural America can use Ag South Farm Credit. They can help you guys out. If you have any more questions about what Ag South Farm Credit can do, give them a call, 844-AG-SOUTH, or visit their website, agsouthfc.com/TSUS. Again, that's agsouthfc.com/TSUS. Ag South's an equal housing lender, NMLS 619788. So again, their website, agsouthfc.com/TSUS, or give them a call, 844-AG-SOUTH, and tell them Chris from the Spurs Up Show sent you. All right, let's get into it. All right, I'm Chris Phillips, your host of the Spurs Up Show, as always. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Got a packed show. We're talking South Carolina basketball, baseball, women's basketball, a little bit of football talk as well. Got your listener questions. A great interview as well with the former Gamecocks baseball player. An awesome interview. I can't wait for you guys to hear it. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Obviously, I am back from vacation. You're hearing this show. Obviously, things are a little bit of a jumbled up right now. Went to Orlando, went to Disney World with the family from Friday to Monday or yesterday. Was planning on putting out a show for Monday. You guys probably saw my announcement on social media, though. You know, was in the hotel. We had a long couple of days. Obviously, if you guys have ever been to the theme parks, was with the fam too, so really nowhere good to record. I didn't want to put something together and half-ass it, so decided to do no show Monday. And then Monday night, actually got back into town got back into North Augusta around 12:30. Would have gotten into Columbia around 1:45 or so. And again, kind of a similar situation. Didn't want to put out a half-ass prod. I didn't want to rush it. Figured I'd just record. So we were recording this Tuesday morning. Got a ton to talk about, obviously recapping everything that happened over the weekend, getting into position unit previews. Got a ton to go over, but I appreciate you guys being patient with me. I will say the vacation, for those of you that were wondering, was awesome. It was honestly a great reset, if you will, and it was great to spend time with the family. I'm a big family guy. I come from a big family, so was great to spend time with the fam, was great to get that quality time with them. It's really, I've always been a big family guy. When you get to go on a vacation with them and spend, really good, really close quality time with the family, it's really kind of reminds you, just how important family is. So it was awesome stuff, great stuff. I appreciate you guys being patient with me, but we got a lot to talk about, obviously, in Gamecock sports, Gamecocks athletics, a lot going on, starting with men's basketball. It was a big weekend for Carolina basketball. I want to start on the men's side. Saturday, South Carolina beats the Texas A&M Aggies 81-67. I will tell you guys, to be completely honest, I was at Magic Kingdom Saturday, so I caught bits and pieces of this one, but I caught enough of it to know exactly what was going on, and that is South Carolina picking up a massive, massive road win, back-to-back SEC wins. You get to 500 in SEC play again, 81-67. South Carolina able to pull away. Gamecocks came in this game, believe it or not, a 1-point underdog and win the game by 14 points. If that isn't the definition of the South Carolina basketball season, I really don't know what is. But a massive road win. I mean, you take a look at the statistics here. South Carolina absolutely shot the lights out, shooting 48% from the field. But the three-point numbers, I think they may have set a record. I think it was a historic day from the three-point line. 16 of 30 from the three-point line, 53%. I mean, listen, when you make 16 three-pointers and you hold your opponent to making just 3 three-pointers, you're going to win every time. I know the thing that pissed a lot of South Carolina fans off, and rightfully so, was the officiating, the free throw shooting. Texas A&M, I mean, these stats are crazy. 41 free throws total for Texas A&M. They made 28 of them. South Carolina, just 8. 8 free throws. So that discrepancy to me is insane. Obviously, we all know you could gripe about SEC officiating every single game after every single game, win or lose. You can gripe about them. But, either way, South Carolina able to pull out the win, 81-67. Again, when you're making 16 of 30 from three-point range, you're going to have a really, really good day. One of the things that really stuck out to me that I was impressed with, again, Jermaine Couisnard stays hot. He has 17 points in the game. A guy that we talked about a lot that needed to continue his hot play after Kentucky, needed to be a guy South Carolina could really depend on. I think he's starting to become that guy. I think he's starting to really grow into that role again. 17 points on the road, following up that 26-point performance against Kentucky where he hit the game-winning shot. A great performance from him. Welcome back, Jair Bolden. My goodness. It's so funny. As much as I've talked about him, we thought he completely disappeared. I joked that he got left in Charlottesville, didn't get back on the bus. Well, he finally caught a flight from Charlottesville to College Station, and what did he do? He just led South Carolina with 19 points, played 33 minutes. He was 5 of 7 from three-point range, 7 of 12 from the field. Had 6 assists to go along with it, 2 steals. I don't really know what it was that clicked or what the deal is with Jair Bolden, but definitely great to have him back rolling. Also, same can be said for Justin Minaya, a guy who played really, really well, had 18 points, 6 and 11 from the field, 4 of 8 from three-point range. I talked about it on social media a little bit Saturday, but I'll say it again. The great and maybe somewhat of the frustrating thing about this team, which I think we're actually starting to see the end of that, is that it's always somebody different game after game. It's like it's not just one guy, which is a great quality to have. I mean, heck, give a shout-out to A.J. Lawson. He's been struggling a ton. He had 13 points in 16 minutes, so a solid game from him as well. But it always seems like there's a different leading scorer every single game. There's a different guy stepping up and leading South Carolina every single game. And again, Jair Bolden, I mean, coming out of nowhere. We're talking about a guy that did not even come off the bench against Kentucky, leading your team in scoring at Texas A&M. I mean, it's just crazy. So kudos to him. I mean, again, a huge win for South Carolina to go on the road into hostile territory to really, again, perfect spot for a letdown. I said this on social media. This was a perfect spot for a letdown. You're a 1-point under. And I think Vegas thought that too. Again, making South Carolina a 1-point underdog after that huge win against Kentucky, that's all it really could have said to you, is that Vegas expects South Carolina to come in overconfident or riding that emotional high or still patting themselves in the back and not fully prepared for this game against Texas A&M. We did not see that at all. Again, South Carolina came out, played great basketball, shot the basketball well. Again, really a dominating performance. You were up by 6 at half. You outscore A&M by 8 in the second half. No contest. And again, when you're shooting the basketball from the three-point range like South Carolina was doing, you're going to have a lot of success. You're going to win a lot of games. I've talked about it before. When South Carolina's guards don't shoot well, it's ugly. When they shoot well, when they shoot that well, it is very fun. It's a lot of fun to watch. So, I'm not saying they'll be able to keep it up that way. I definitely don't think so. Again, that being a historic day in College Station, but just great to see those guards that we talked about all preseason and the guys we know have talent like a Bolden, like a Kuznar, like a Lawson, like a Minaya. See those guys really get rolling. South Carolina's going to need those guys throughout conference play, obviously, but a huge win. Again, you get back-to-back SEC wins. You're back to 500 in SEC play. You're 2-2 now. Sets up a huge game at Auburn. Obviously, we know Auburn, a really, really good team. They actually have been struggling a little bit of late as well, though. I think they fell in the AP poll, I think about 10 spots or something. They fell a lot. So Gamecocks will have another opportunity to go on the road and get a big-time upset win, which could really, really propel their season. I will say this, and I want to say this, and I hope you can all get a laugh out of this along with me. But a lot of people say social media is a toxic place, and when South Carolina loses, the negativity comes out. I would actually argue that I think the most toxic and negative people show their faces after South Carolina gets a big win. After South Carolina gets wins, not losses, wins. Because every time South Carolina gets a win in any sport, people are there. Not a lot, but there are select people filling up my mentions. Oh, fire Frank Martin. Oh, what about Frank Martin? Frank Martin. Like, first off, I never said fire Frank Martin. I never said fire Frank Martin. Always knew he was a good basketball coach. I've said that before on the show. For you guys that are listening, that do listen, you know what I've said about Frank Martin. There were reasons to be questioning his coaching ability or what was going on. Obviously, yeah, you win back-to-back SEC games. That changes things a little bit. The trajectory of your season has changed just a little bit. But anyways, it's just so funny to see. Just enjoy this win for 10 seconds, guys. We can argue later. Let's enjoy the fact South Carolina got the W. But it can't be understated how significant it is for South Carolina to get back-to-back SEC wins, to get back to 500 in SEC play. Again, kudos to Frank Martin. Kudos to that staff. Kudos to that team. Because, again, I said before, when you were 0-2 in SEC play, this thing could have gotten out of hand really, really fast. And you get that big win against Kentucky, that buzzer beater shot. You get this win on the road. Now you have a newfound confidence going to Auburn. Heck, you might be able to win that one. Get to 3-2. I mean, who knows? Even if you don't, though, you have a fairly favorable 3-game stretch coming up. I mean, you go to Auburn, then you've got Vanderbilt and Arkansas. I think Arkansas is on the road as well. Yeah, it's Auburn on the road, Vanderbilt Saturday night at home, and then Arkansas next Wednesday on the road. So, I mean, you have an opportunity to really get things rolling here. Get your SEC record really improved. Get things rolling. I mean, again, I don't know. I'm not ready to sit here and tell you that South Carolina is going to go on some run and make the NCAA tournament. I'm not ready to say that because it's a long season and, what goes up must come down. As hot as you can get, you get cold as well. So, I mean, we've seen this team be Jekyll and be Hyde. So I'm not ready to sit here and say that the Gamecocks have found it and they're going to go on some run. But I like what I've seen. I definitely like what I've seen. And again, kudos to Frank Martin. Kudos to Steph. I always said, like I said, I've never said fire Frank Martin throughout this entire season. Obviously, there's been some questioning of his coaching style, which is not something new. That's been something over the years. But I don't think anybody questions Frank Martin's a good basketball coach. I never said he wasn't a good basketball coach. I think he is. I think he is a good basketball coach. And I'm just glad to see it finally translating to conference wins. I will say, it's still frustrating when you think about it and look back to why did we lose to Stetson? Why did we lose to Boston? When you see what type of talent and capabilities this team has. But anyways, that's in the past. South Carolina, again, gets a 2-2 in SEC play. 10-7 overall. Again, a big win. It can't be understated how impressive this win was, again, simply to follow up that great Kentucky performance with the type of performance you had Saturday in College Station. I mean, again, the way you shot the basketball, the way you defended, really just a complete team effort. And again, you get to 500 SEC play with a newfound confidence and newfound energy. And now you have a real opportunity to take on the Auburn Tigers tomorrow and get a really, really, really big win and really go on a hot streak and get this season rolling. So kudos to Frank Martin, the team. Gamecocks win it again 81-67 over the weekend. All right, let's move to some baseball. Position unit previews, continuing the position unit previews as we are just 24 days away from opening day. Talking Gamecocks first baseman today. Going to go through the key losses really quickly. Really, you don't lose a lot from this position. You're only losing 2 guys, Chris Cullen and Jordan Holiday. If you'll remember from a year ago, Josiah Seitler, who I'm going to talk about in just a second, was actually the opening day first baseman. South Carolina expected him to be their guy, be the opening day first baseman. Chris Cullen was your opening day catcher. And after one game, that didn't work out. It didn't work out. Chris Cullen, great dude, great player, but just did not work out for him in the catcher position. He was moved to first. He started 52 games. Basically started every single game at first base for South Carolina, mixed in a couple other guys. Jordan Holiday did play a little bit. But Chris Cullen was the mainstay over there. Hit 206 for South Carolina a year ago, 5 homers, 23 RBIs. A guy that, I'll be honest, at the plate could never really get it rolling. Always sort of had that potential, but never could really get it rolling. But overall, Chris Cullen's the big one. I mean, he was your guy. He was the mainstay over there at first base, but him and Jordan Holiday, your 2 losses. Who are the notable guys that are back? Well, you got Josiah Seitler, who I just talked about, a guy who was so highly touted last year coming into the season. 12th round draft pick out of high school by the Cincinnati Reds. Did not have a good year. Plain and simple, did not have a good year. And then you got Wes Clark. I put Wes Clark in this. Obviously, you guys are like, wait, Wes Clark is a catcher. Played first base a lot in the fall, and a guy that I expect to play first base. You've also got the newcomers that I want to mention as well. Bryant Bowen and Dallas Beaver, the grad transfers that should help out at first base as well. You've got some options over there. And again, those last 3 guys I mentioned, Beaver, Bowen, and Clark, can catch as well. So I think those guys are going to alternate a lot between catcher and first base, but you can expect to see those guys at least until they find the main guy they want to go with, the everyday first baseman. We've seen those guys shuffle in all the scrimmages, so I expect to see those guys playing along with maybe a little bit of Josiah Seitler as well. You get into the most to prove here. And I'm going to talk about Josiah Seitler. I'm going to be very brutally honest. Seitler a year ago hit .067, had 2 RBIs on the year, but simply put, not a good year. A pitiful year for Josiah Seitler, a guy, again, that came in with all the accolades, all the expectations. I remember specifically a year ago, Mark Kingston said about Josiah Seitler, he compared his power and his pop to Justin Smoke, which I said a year ago. If you're going to make that type of comparison, you better deliver, because that is some lofty, lofty praise for someone, because we obviously know Justin Smoke is one of the all-time greats at South Carolina, if not, the great of South Carolina baseball. And we see what he's doing in the big leagues as well. But Josiah Seitler, to me, no doubt has the most to prove, not just at this position, but I think he might have the most to prove of any Gamecock on this baseball team. A guy that I have very, very good word that was very close to being cut after last season. I mean, you think about that. Being cut after being a 12th round draft pick out of high school and being the Gamecocks opening day starter at first base. South Carolina, when you go to these scrimmages, and, I went in the fall, and obviously the ones in the spring are about to start up this weekend, which I'm extremely pumped about. But you go to these scrimmages, they're giving him every opportunity to get on the field and contribute. Every opportunity. They've put him at pitcher. They've put him at outfield, obviously first. I mean, they're trying to get that guy, the 12th round draft pick, they're trying to get that guy out of him. He's going to get every opportunity. But here's the thing. If he cannot hit, he cannot play. And those that have watched him take BP and those that have seen the flashes, they'll tell you he can smash, no question. But if you can't hit, you're not going to play. So Josiah Seitler, again, a ton to prove this year. He needs to remind people why he was that guy in high school. Again, I know this is a different level. Josiah Seitler, though, has got a ton to prove. There's no questions asked. I mean, a guy, again, that was almost cut after being a stud, one of your top recruits, opening day first baseman, doesn't even sniff the field after that. So Josiah Seitler, to me, the most to prove by a long shot, maybe on this entire baseball team. The best overall, I'm going to go with Wes Clark. Right now, again, I know they're going to switch him out between catching and first. He may be the best overall at 2 positions. Again, I think Bowen's going to be a factor. I think Dallas Beaver's going to be a factor. But what we know right now, Wes Clark, to me, is the best overall. When you take a look at Wes's stats, 239 a year ago, had a homer, 5 RBIs. But I'll tell you this, guys. Watching Wes Clark in the fall looks like such a more polished hitter, a more disciplined hitter, a more mature hitter. He's gotten a lot bigger, stronger, really filled out his body. I think Wes Clark is a guy, he plays a good defensive first base as well. I think Wes Clark is a guy that can have a huge, huge impact for South Carolina this year. Really at the plate, in the field, no matter where he is. But I think a lot of that time will be first base. So that, to me, gives Wes Clark the nod, being the best overall. There's just so many unknowns with how guys like Bryant Bowen and Dallas Beaver are going to adjust this level. And again, I saw a lot of good things from them in the fall. Don't get me wrong, saw a lot of good things from them, a lot of power from them. But overall, Wes Clark to me looks really polished, looks like a really professional hitter. Like he has a real professional approach when I watched him in the fall. So Wes Clark to me, best overall out of this unit. Season will be successful for the first baseman if 15-plus home runs from the first base position. I think I talked last year I wanted double-digit home runs, and obviously with Chris Cullen being the starter, that did not happen. When you take a look at the guys you have, though, even factoring in Seitler, Wes Clark, Bowen, Beaver, there's power. All of those guys have power. Less than double-digit home runs from this position would be a travesty, in my opinion. But 15-plus, I think, is very doable. I think Wes Clark's a guy that can hit 6 or 7. I think Bowen and Beaver are guys that can get close to double digits. And God forbid if Josiah Seitler can ever figure it out. I mean, I think he's a guy that could get up there around double digits. He has that type of pop. I'm not predicting that, but he has that type of pop. But to me, the season will be successful with 15-plus home runs from the first base position. That's a position, the corners, you need power. You need your big sluggers over there. I think Carolina's got it. And I think 15-plus is a very conservative number. I think it's something South Carolina can easily achieve. The overall grade of the first baseman, I'm going to give the first baseman a C right now. Again, just because you really don't know who your starter is. Believe it or not, they actually put Noah Campbell over at first in the fall, just trying him out. So, I mean, you really don't know who your starter is. I think there's a lot of good options. There's a lot of good potential. Again, I think Wes Clark could be that guy, but I think he's also going to catch. So when he catches, who's going to play? And I think there's a lot of unknowns as well, like I said, about Beaver and Bowen. How can they adjust to this level? Can they adjust to SEC pitching? Again, two guys that we saw flashes in the fall, I thought, but it's obviously a different ball game when you're facing it day in, day out. You're facing the arms Carolina goes up against. So I'm going to give them a C right now. I definitely think there's some upside with this group, but I think a C is a pretty fair grade right now, especially with the lack of experience at the position. So really excited about the Gamecocks first baseman. Think this is a group, again, with a ton of upside that could really surprise people this year. All right, let's get into some news and notes. We'll get into your listener questions. First off, how can we start anywhere else but Gamecocks women's basketball picking up a huge win last night at Colonial Life Arena, beating Mississippi State 81-79. Carolina, number 1 in the country. Mississippi State was ranked, I believe, 10th. Like I've said before, Dawn Staley and company continue to keep it rolling. This game came down to the wire. I will say all of the other women's teams that were number 1 and had a big game lost. You see South Carolina's toughness, tenacity. They're number 1. They get a big game at home. They win the game. So, it's like I've said before. I mean, I'm really excited what Dawn Staley's doing, building this thing up, keeping it rolling. I mean, South Carolina women's basketball is untouchable, it feels like right now in a sense. I mean, they're so good. When you have a leader like Dawn Staley, when you have the talent they have, you're going to win a lot of basketball games. And Carolina, it's going to be a very fun season. I expect these girls to make a really, really deep run. And again, beating a team like Mississippi State, 81-79. It's so funny how salty Mississippi State fans are on social media, how salty their head coach is. I know they don't like South Carolina because Carolina beat them to win the national title, beat them a lot. South Carolina's beat them a lot, it feels like, over the last decade. So, but anyways, a huge win for Dawn Staley and company to beat number 10 Mississippi State 81-79. Jermaine Kuznar, give some props to Jermaine as well, named SEC Freshman of the Week, obviously for his huge performance against Kentucky, and then really, really nice play as well Saturday at College Station. So really well-deserved, a guy that, again, I think is growing into his own, becoming that leader, becoming that consistent shooter of the basketball that South Carolina so desperately needs. Also, one last note really quickly, football note. South Carolina picks up a commit from 2020 long snapper Hunter Rogers. Hunter Rogers, a Spring Valley kid, Spring Valley product, so a kid that's local gets to stay home. Gamecocks football continues to truck along as Will Muschamp and company continue to hit the recruiting trail. All right, let's get into these listener questions. Got a ton of listener questions, and we'll get into this interview with Carlos Cortes. We'll start with Andrew_the_textbook. Can you see South Carolina reaching 20-plus wins by the end of the men's basketball season? 20 is a lot. You're at 10 wins right now. You have, 16 more 16 more. I mean, you could certainly get there. I mean, again, I'm not ready to predict that South Carolina goes on some tear. I mean, you'd have to go 10-6 over your last 16. You would finish 12-8 in conference, which you'd be right on the NCAA tournament bubble if you did that. I think they certainly can if they continue to play the way they're playing right now. And like we talked about, the schedule gets easier over the last 2 months. I mean, really, the schedule was very, very heavy at the front of it. The back end of the schedule, though, is extremely manageable. So if you can continue to play like you're playing now, if Kuznar can keep it up, if you can continue to get production from your guard play, you certainly have a chance. I think it's certainly feasible for this team. James_Paul_Wagner, if we beat Auburn, how much do our chances of making the tournament go up? Again, it's a long season, but, I mean, it certainly will help. I mean, a big road win like that, you get over 500 in SEC playing. Again, it's just about building that momentum. But, oh, yeah, I mean, a win at Auburn is going to do nothing but help your tournament chances, and certainly I think the chances are actually pretty good if you beat Auburn. I think the chances increase dramatically if you can go beat Auburn. Let's see. Hayden.Deer. Would you think Coach Muschamp will be fired if he doesn't take us to a bowl? 110% absolutely. If South Carolina misses a bowl this season, Will Muschamp is fired. No questions asked. Brant Farmer, best case scenario for men's basketball record and tournament. I mean, I think best case, I mean, you take a look at the schedule, and I think South Carolina could win. I mean, I want to say they could win 12 games, in the SEC. I mean, I think it's feasible winning 21, 22 games. I don't want to get too excited because, again, what goes up must come down. We've seen this team be Jekyll and Hyde. We've seen them be hot and cold, but the potential is there. You don't beat teams like Virginia and Kentucky if you don't have some talent. So the potential's there. It's just about getting the best out of South Carolina game in, game out. So no doubt, I think South Carolina could finish with 20-plus wins. I think they could make the tournament at this point. But you have to continue to bring it every single night and bring that consistency every single night as well. Madison.R.Benson, you think we can get in the NCAA tournament with 11 or 12 conference wins? Yeah, I mean, I think 12, you're really starting to put yourself in the realistic conversation. If you're around 10 or 11, you're on the bubble. But, again, a lot of it depends on how it all shakes out with everybody else as well. But, yeah, now I think 12-plus, you're definitely putting yourself in good position. Let's see. Here. Clemson Tiggs Hater U. When will South Carolina start beating Clemson multiple games in a row in football? I mean, multiple games in a row, you're probably looking at least 2 to 3 years. I mean, let's just face it, Clemson's not going anywhere. They have a powerhouse. They have a dynasty. They're not going anywhere. South Carolina needs to worry about getting South Carolina right before they worry about anything else. But, yeah, I mean, it's going to be years. It's going to be a couple years for sure. Until they start beating them games in a row, I think you could steal an upset here or there, but games in a row, get the rivalry back to what it was, it's going to be a little bit for sure. Last question here. Savannah868. How are the chances for another women's basketball team championship? I mean, I think they're very good. I mean, I've made the joke all season that, hey, wake me up when the Final Four gets here because, Dawn Staley and company are just rolling through this thing like it's no big deal. But, I mean, kind of seriously, I mean, when you have Dawn, when you have the talent they have, it's just no question. You have a great opportunity to make a huge run and win a title. So, I mean, I'd feel really good. I think their chances are really good. I mean, obviously, you're ranked number 1 in the country for a reason. Yeah, I mean, I'd take South Carolina against anybody at this point. So I feel really, really good about their chances. So appreciate the listener questions, guys. Like I said, I got a fantastic interview with former Gamecocks outfielder Carlos Cortes. We talked about everything from his path to South Carolina, relationships with both Chad Holbrook and Mark Kingston. Life at the professional level. Obviously, he's still playing pro ball right now with the New York Mets organization. So we talk about a ton, that much more, and it's all brought to you by our friends over at SeatGeek. Guys, you need your tickets to anything, whether it be South Carolina Gamecocks sporting events, concerts, comedy club events, professional sporting events, whatever it may be. Go download the SeatGeek app or go to SeatGeek.com. Use the promo code SPURSUP. You're going to save $20 off your first purchase. Guys, it's the best ticket buying app by far. They've got a great ticket rating system, which rates the tickets for you based on the type of deal you're getting. So never again are you going to have to question, where's my seat, and am I getting the best bang for my buck? Am I getting ripped off? They take care of all of that for you. And like I said, they've got tickets to literally anything and everything. If you're trying to go to South Carolina basketball, baseball, women's basketball, whatever it may be, concerts. I know there's a lot of concerts in Columbia coming up over the next couple months. If you need your tickets, again, that's our friends at SeatGeek. Go download the SeatGeek app or go to SeatGeek.com. Use the promo code SPURSUP. That's SPURSUP to save $20 off your first purchase. All right, enjoy this interview with former Gamecocks outfielder Carlos Cortes. All right, joining us today on the Spurs Up Show is a man that played for Gamecocks baseball from 2017 to 2018. During his career, he hit .274, had 27 home runs and 85 RBIs, also sported a .528 slugging percentage while in the Garnet and Black. He was also drafted in the third round of the 2018 MLB draft by the New York Mets and is currently in the Mets organization. I'm very pleased to be joined by former Gamecocks outfielder Carlos Cortes. Carlos, appreciate you taking the time, man. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Yes, sir. I'm glad to be here.
Absolutely. So, Carlos, let's go back to the beginning for you because obviously you were a guy, really highly regarded prospect at a high school. You were actually drafted in the 2016 MLB draft as well by the New York Mets, ironically, in the 20th round. But you decided to come to school. You come to South Carolina. You're a guy from the state of Florida. Just talk about your recruiting process, also the process of being drafted. Did it ever cross your mind to go out of high school? But eventually, what led you to come to South Carolina and be a Gamecock?
It was a dream to kind of, get drafted out of high school. And, schools kind of suck sometimes, But so kind of just went through my recruiting process. Didn't have too many offers. And then kind of when sophomore year hit, I went to a showcase down in Fort Myers. And then the offers started rolling in. And South Carolina was always my number one. And they offered me, and I committed right away. And then kind of from there on, the reason why I didn't sign out of high school, because no team ever reached my number. Like, I had a specific number. And if they didn't reach it, I was going to go to school because that's, I want a certain amount. And if I don't get it, I'm going to school. And it worked out the best way possible, honestly, in my opinion.
What made South Carolina your dream school, again, being from Florida? I mean, was it just – I guess I'm assuming you obviously grew up, watching South Carolina in the College World Series. But, I mean, was it someone, you were close with? Or, like, what made South Carolina that dream school for you?
I mean, just watching them win in 10 and 11, that was like I was watching with my mom because I think my dad was coaching somewhere, and I was with my mom, and we watched them win in 11, I think it was, and I was like, I'm going to go to school there, Mom. Like, I really want to go there now. Like, that's my dream school now. And then I came here as a freshman in high school to a camp, and, I mean, everything about this place is just – it's unbelievable. The stadium is second to none. The fan base, the college town, the college experience is second to none. And I fell in love with it instantly when I stepped on campus.
For sure. So, Carlos, you're one of those rare guys that you actually played for both Chad Holbrook and Mark Kingston. You saw the change, if you will. Just talk about Chad Holbrook first, though, because obviously him and his staff are the ones that recruited you to come to South Carolina. What was your relationship like with Coach Holbrook, and maybe what were your first interactions like with him as well?
He was, always good to me, good to my family, and, I mean, he gave me the opportunity to come to my dream school, so – that holds a special place in my heart, and he's a great dude. We had a good time, good year together. It was fun. Just, a lot of injuries, stuff you can't control, and we lost more than we should have, but I mean, it was tough. We had so many guys hurt. I mean, Schmidt gets Tommy John, guys just shoving it down everyone's throat, and just out of nowhere gets Tommy John. The game he got Tommy John, he was shoving it down Florida's throat. I mean, the guy's special. And we had bad luck that year, I mean, there were so many games where, like, we lost or on Sunday that we lost the series. I mean, it was literally it was so unlucky every time.
Yeah.
We lost, go ahead, sorry.
I know. I was just going to say the 2017 season and 2019 season, I feel like were very eerily similar. Where, like you're saying, you guys that year, I remember specifically, like you said, I mean, Clark Schmidt gets hurt. Tyler Johnson got hurt for a while, and it seemed like every weekend it came down to one pitch on Sunday that, would have won or lost the series. And for whatever reason, that season just didn't go you guys.
Oh, my God, exactly. Like, we beat every good team. Like, we put them to the test, and then just like one pitch, and you're just like, no, man, come on. Our luck's got to turn at some point,
For sure. So I want to talk about that 2017 season specifically for you, though, Carlos, because, again, while you guys as a team struggled, you as a true freshman really flourished. I mean, you started 43 games, played in 50 games. You hit 286 on the year, 12 homers, 41 RBIs. I was watching an interview a little bit ago, and basically what you were saying was you were not surprised at all at the success that you had. Just talk about, what you attribute that success to, being able to come in and have a really smooth transition to taking advantage of SEC pitching.
So I know it kind of sounds like cocky or whatever, but I'm very confident in myself. I'm a short guy, if I don't believe myself, who's going to believe in me, So I always thought that my ability to hit was always going to be there, So as long as I just kind of do what I got to do and not do too much, which I started doing right around the middle of the year, and that's when I started playing. Started listening to my dad again, stubborn 19-year-old. Just kind of wanted to do my own thing, and then didn't work. So then I was like, all right, Dad, can you help me? But I've always believed in myself, I was definitely surprised with the power numbers because, in high school you don't play enough games to kind of hit that many home runs or in travel ball, it just doesn't kind of happen that much. So I was definitely surprised with the power numbers, but the ability to hit, it's just always been there. But it was fun. It was really good to see the kind of the hard work that I put in, the hours, the blood, sweat, and tears, everything. Kind of see that pay off, kind of just in one season,
For sure. I wanted to ask you about that. Obviously, your height. I think you probably see a guy in the pros. He's a pitcher, but Marcus Stroman is a guy. A lot of people talk about the shortest pitcher in the big leagues.
Yeah.
Jose Altuve is a guy, position player, shortest player in the big leagues, whatever. But your height. I mean, how much? Obviously, it doesn't affect your game. I mean, we're going to get to it in a little bit. But you're taking third round of the MLB draft in 2018. You obviously overcome that and everything else. But how much, I guess, growing up was that a motivating factor? And then, like you said, coming into college, I mean, if you don't believe in yourself, nobody else is going to believe in you. How much do you use that, I guess, fuel to the fire? And how much did you use it then when you were in college as well?
I don't know, because I've always been the shortest guy on the team, smallest. Not really the smallest because I'm a little thicker statue, but a little stubby. But it kind of just because growing up, it was it was a thing. Dustin Pedroia was the first guy ever under 5'10", to be really good. And then growing up, people are you're just small, man. I'm yeah, I know, but and then these guys started coming, and then it's man, this is sick. There's nobody actually cares about height anymore. It's not about that. It's literally just ability to play, and I kind of use that as fuel, because these guys are doing it. There's no reason I can't,
No, for sure. So you talked about those power numbers. Obviously, again, 27 home runs during your South Carolina career, and I mean, better than anyone. Founders Park can really be a launching pad if you get the wind blowing right, especially if you're blowing out to right field. I mean, you hit many of them during your career over the right field fence. I mean, talking about how much fun it is for a hitter playing in Founders Park, like I said, especially when you get the wind blowing at your back.
Man, in about February, or is it March to May, it's just unbelievable because it's typically blowing out to right in that part of the year. So I mean, it's just that at any moment you could just turn on one and get some backspin on it, and it's gonna go out of there. But when I was here, center field played pretty big, so I was I'm going to stick to right field, Probably hurt me a little bit more than it helped me, but yeah.
Yeah, just say those gaps do get deep out. If you hit one out to center, you really poked it. So
yeah, you did.
Yeah,
it says 380, but it's 410 in those little alleys that say 380. Those things are not 380.
No, for sure. So I do, again, that 2017 season, I do want to talk about it. Obviously, a rough year. A lot of things didn't go you guys' way. And after the season, obviously, South Carolina decided to make the change, or Chad Holbrook stepping down, if you will. Just want to get your take, obviously, because you were a guy as a true freshman, had a good year. You're coming back for your sophomore season. How surprised, if at all, were you at that? I mean, was it something you saw coming? But just give me kind of the emotions you felt when you heard the news that Chad Holbrook wouldn't be coming back.
I was kind of taken back by it, but I was, I feel like everything happens for a reason. That's how my beliefs are. So I'm never one to be like stubborn to change or like kind of. I guess when it comes to me, I'm stubborn to change, but like I kind of just go with the flow of things, like, I'm not gonna let it affect me. I'm gonna go out there and we're gonna try and win games as much as we can and kind of take care of business, And when we did that, I think we did that pretty well that year.
For sure. With Mark Kingston coming in, obviously he gets the job. How quickly did he come in and sort of, I don't want to say completely change the culture, because I think the culture of South Carolina baseball, is very good either way. It doesn't matter who's at the helm. But how quickly did he come in and sort of change things? Because obviously we saw a drastic improvement in a bunch of guys at the plate in 2018. I think it was definitely noticeable that something was different. I mean, what was it like? He comes in that first team. How quickly did you guys feel sort of the change that he brought with him?
Yeah, I think he was really bought into the hitting for power. So, and I am too. But I think we took the analytical part a little bit more serious. Because I mean, that's you can fight it all you want, but that's part of our game now,
Mm-hmm.
And like if you have it, you've got to take advantage of it. And I think we took very, very big advantage of it, and we executed it really well. I mean, we had like 5 guys hit over 300 with power numbers,
Yeah.
And that's crazy. And I think we really bought into it and just kind of believed, because we started winning games. It's easy to not believe when you're not winning, but It's also easy to believe when you win. But we rode it as long as we did,
Mm-hmm. For sure. So that 2018 season, though, it got off to a very interesting start. And I remember specifically, I know, obviously you remember this as well, but the game that seemed to turn the tables was the Presbyterian midweek loss. And I've talked to a couple other guys about this, and that was sort of the moment where, you guys made the decision, enough is enough, and you go out there and you sweep LSU, and it was kind of on from there. I mean, the run that you guys went on, the consecutive series in a row that you won. But, I mean, just talk about that Presbyterian game. You lose that game. I mean, what's said in the locker room, and what do you think changed to turn that 2018 season around?
Coach ripped us a new one, man. And I mean, he took all of our luxuries away and made it to where this is baseball. You come here to work, no luxuries, no nothing. He took it all away from us, and we're like, man, he's right. Like, and we really bought into it. I mean, we had the talent, but once we all clicked together, there was no stopping us. I mean, there was no stopping us. But yeah, Kingston ripped us a new one, took everything away from us, and yeah, we really kicked it in gear.
Kingston seems like he could be a pretty scary guy if he wants to.
Yeah, man, that's kind of what you need in the coach, like
right.
He's right there with you, and when you mess up, he's gonna let you know. It's accountability. It's what I'm very big on, that, like holding people accountable for their actions.
For sure. So that 2018 season, again, you have another fantastic year. Hit 15 home runs on the season. One home run I want to talk about specifically, though, that I know holds a special place in your heart, is May of 2018. You guys are getting near the end of the season against Missouri. Scoreless game. You hit a walk-off home run. Not just a walk-off home run, though, but a walk-off home run on Mother's Day. Just for those that maybe don't remember that story, just kind of talk about the significance of that and, that memory, where it kind of sits for you now.
Yeah, that's crazy. I get chills talking about that. My mom's in the stands. I mean, it's like something that you dream about, doing for your mom, doing something for your mom. And I don't know, man. I was so in shock. Like, when she started crying, I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. Like, I couldn't believe it. 1-run game too. Was it 1-0 the final?
Yeah, 1-0. Yeah, nothing. You hit the walk off. Yeah.
Yeah, that's something that you write in stories. like something you make up. It's just like I can't even talk about it. So like it's still so shocking to me, like to be able to do something like that in front of your mom on Mother's Day. That's crazy.
No doubt. So, again, the 2018 season, you guys go on that run, make the postseason, don't host a regional. Actually have to go to Greenville, the East Carolina region, sweep your way through that, and then go to Arkansas, which Arkansas makes it all the way to the final series. You guys are a game away, but just kind of summarize that postseason run. Again, being a one game away from Omaha. I know it's not the result you necessarily want in the end, but you guys had to be extremely proud the way you battled back, especially, again, how 2017 went, going through a coaching change, the way 2018 starts. I know you guys had to be pretty proud of your accomplishments, again, being one game away from Omaha.
Yeah, that was making that super and knocking on the door of the College World Series. I know, you don't want to settle for that, but I mean, we battled all year, every game. I mean, we put every team to the test, and we came out on top. And then we just ran into, that Arkansas team on paper was, unbelievable. I think two freshmen that were just absolutely animals.
Yeah, at their place too, which is a madhouse. So.
Yeah, playing left field is unbelievably hard over there. 10,000 left in the left field. What is it like? It's like a little area of grass area back there. Yeah, that place is hard. But yeah, we were really proud. We weren't finished. If you go back and watch, and then you hear the commentators when we went in Greenville and we swept through, no dog pound or nothing, because we knew what we came for. We knew the end result, and we weren't finished. But we were so proud we made it that far, and it was sad because there was 15 guys on that team that were done, like never playing at university again, USC again. It was a very sad day, but we were proud how far we came and how hard we worked to get there.
You talked about the crowd at Arkansas. I'm curious, what's the most rowdy environment you've played in college, and what's the funniest thing you've heard from a fan, like talking crap?
Because I got a lot of the Arkansas, because I got drafted in the third round, the week before, and they're just bashing me about oh man, the Mets messed up, man. They don't know what they're doing. You're so bad. You're so small too. My little nephew is bigger than you, or something like that. It was funny. The Arkansas fans are very genuine though. At the end of the game, they're especially when we because I think I had a game where I went 3 for 3 or something like that, and they congratulated me. They're pretty genuine, but when it comes to game time, they're ruthless. But yeah, it's pretty funny. I was yeah, man, there's no way that the Mets should have picked you in the third round. You're so bad. There's no shot that you make it. I love it. The fans, man, say whatever they want. Not to an extreme, but they paid to watch me play.
Exactly. So I do want to ask you about the Carolina Clemson rivalry. Again, you're a guy from the state of Florida, coming from out of state. Only got to play in the rivalry for 2 years, but just talk about what it's like being on the field playing in the Carolina Clemson rivalry.
Man, I didn't know it like that until I really got here. It was different, and then I got to Clemson. And I started that Friday night as a freshman. I did so bad. It was crazy. Charlie Barnes made me look like a fool. Yeah, I did so bad. The left field, I struck out two times, really bad. And I was in left field. Left field fans were just roasting me, and then I get taken out of the game, and in the 7th inning, the whole left field bleachers are chanting my name for me to come back out there. Man, that rivalry, that was something else. And I hate Clemson so much now. Like, it's so different now that I went here and understand it. Like, I hate Clemson so much.
So you had to take a lot of joy in last year then when Carolina kind of broke through and won the series.
Yes, man, that was awesome. I was so proud of my boys. That was awesome.
For sure. So I want to ask you again, you talked about that 2018 season when it ended, how many guys? I mean, that was a senior-heavy team, just full of heavy guys that weren't coming back. You were part of a group that set the record for most guys drafted. And when you think about that, I mean, the great players and the great teams that have come through South Carolina, that is not – that's not something to be overlooked. I mean, 10 guys go to the draft, sets a South Carolina record. You're obviously part of that going in the third round of the 2018 MLB draft. Just talk about, I guess – you're obviously excited because you get drafted and you get to fulfill a lifelong dream, but then seeing all of your buddies, all of your teammates get drafted as well. And again, you guys, are in the record books forever for doing that. I mean, just talk about how cool that is.
That was, I saw that. I was like, man, that's crazy. Because, you expected the guys to get drafted, like, this is going to be sick. Like, we're all going to be playing at the next level. Then you actually see it come true. Then you're like, man, like, how was it, like 12 guys got drafted?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's crazy. And then there was 2 guys that probably should have got drafted, but just had down years, injuries. Like TJ Hopkins had the injury the whole year, and Olsen just didn't have his best year, and then ended up signing next year. I mean, that's 2 guys right there. And Justin Rowe, I mean, that's 3 guys right there that easily could have got drafted that year, and still didn't happen. But that's like even. I mean, how much would that put it at? 16 guys right there. That would have shattered the record. So, I mean, yeah, it's cool to see guys, playing at the next level, your boys especially. That's, real proud of them. That's, yeah.
For sure. So, again, you get drafted third round. No doubt you're going, obviously. You talked about it at high school. You want to get that number. I'm sure you got that number there. But anyways, you get drafted in the third round. I want to ask you more so about, because you were a guy that came in, and one thing I think a lot of people don't know about you, you are ambidextrous. So you come in and play infield and throw righty. You play outfield, throw lefty. I guess I just want to stick to that first. I mean, how did that come about to be ambidextrous and play multiple positions? I mean, because, again, not something many people can do, but you can.
No, I mean, my dad's crazy. If you meet him, you'll understand he's crazy. So when I was younger, he just, I'm short, lefty, not very fast. Like outfield is like, yeah, I can play outfield, but like, I'm not going to be an elite outfielder being decent speed, So it's like, why don't I turn you to righty so we can play infield or maybe catch when I don't like catching anymore. But it's like, yeah, why don't we do that? I was like, I hated it so much, man. It was so hard throwing like an idiot and just like, I didn't know what I was doing. And so it was like relearning how to throw all over again. And it was tough, but, I saw it through. I typically see it through with my dad, I fight it, but then at the end of the day, I'm like, yeah, you're right.
And now you're playing infield at the pro level, though, right? Because I remember that was a thing. You got drafted as a second baseman, correct?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess Pops knew what he was talking about. Pops
knew. Yeah, and he typically does, man. That's why I tend to listen to him just a little bit later on,
For sure. So I do want to ask you, obviously, you've played 2 seasons in minor league ball. We talked off here, you're getting ready to go to mini camp and, getting ready for another season, getting ready for the grind. You were in low A your first season, high A last year. Just kind of talk about your minor league experience at this point. And is there, I guess, being a third-round guy, I'm sure they do, but do the Mets have you on sort of a track to the big leagues or sort of a plan as far as the next couple of years? Like, what's, I guess, currently your status as far as being in the minor leagues right
now? I wouldn't say there's a plan. It's all up to me, man. It's all about performance, Like, if I perform, am I ready? And if I'm not performing, then I'm obviously not ready. But, I think it's all about me. It's all about preparing, getting my body right, It really – it's always been about, the player himself, not, the organization or, it all comes down to you and what you can do at the end of the day to help the team win,
For sure. What's the biggest thing you're working on in your game right now, would you say?
Definitely defense, man. I'm still new to second. Still kind of raw there. I'm working really hard at that. I'm always in the cage hitting. So I'm always working on that, tweaking things here and there, kind of finding things. Swing can get out of funk instantly in seconds. So you gotta keep that up to par.
How do you feel like you've adjusted from the college game to pro? Because I was taking a look at your stats. I mean, like I said, 2018 you were in short A, but last year, I mean, the power numbers are still there. I mean, you hit 11 homers, 68 RBIs, so obviously you were really productive. I mean, how do you feel like your game, especially at the plate, has transferred over from college to professional?
I mean, just kind of. I mean, it's every day, so it's different. So the consistency part is a little bit different. Like you got to find a routine every single day. And if you don't find that consistency, you're going to struggle, and you're going to keep struggling because you play every day. So, and it's not going to flip around if you just think it is. You got to kind of do something about it. And I definitely get hit for a better average, but I mean, that league is tough, man. And hitting 255 or around there is pretty good for that league. But I'm not content about it. So I definitely want to keep the average up, keep it going up, and kind of let my power numbers take care of themselves. You know what I mean?
No doubt. So going to get you out of here, Carlos. Last question, though, before I let you go. When you look back on your South Carolina career, what would you say is your favorite memory in Garnet and Black?
Man, there's so many. I got to say, man, the Mother's Day. I would put the two together, Mother's Day and playing in the Super Regional. Yeah. Mother's Day in 18 and playing that Super Regional is probably one of my favorite things all time.
For sure. Two good choices, both memorable for South Carolina fans as well, I would say.
Yeah.
No doubt. Well, Carlos, really do appreciate it, man. Like I said, best of luck this season. Best of luck with everything. We'll definitely be keeping in touch and, keeping track of what you do this season. But, it was obviously a pleasure to watch you do what you did in Garnet and Black, and really do appreciate your time.
Appreciate that, man. It was awesome being on. Thank you for everything.
Absolutely. So for Carlos Cortes, I'm Chris Phillips. We appreciate you guys tuning in, and we'll catch you next time on an episode of the Spurs Up Show.